We're back on Let's Have It Out. Doc, I'd like you to finish your answer. Yeah, let me let you finish your answer.
Look, I was still saying that, truth be told, there are university managers who thrive on, divide and rule. And who, when students are not working together, they think that's the best. But it's actually problematic. For me, I prefer it when students are united, they speak in one voice, and they actually champion student issues, because then people must account. We need to account, and we need to take responsibility for student issues.
Listening to you, Prof, the sense that I'm getting is that, Doc, the sense that I'm getting is that there's no common voice in terms of the space of student affairs. Am I right? Is my analysis right? I mean, your thoughts are probably not the same as someone who may be coming from the University of the Free State, University of Pretoria, I don't know.
No, look, I think what we're trying to do, the reason why we have SAFSAs, we are trying to ensure that we have a common voice in terms of how we deal with student issues. And of course, SAFSAs is a very young organization that just started a few years ago. But you will have various managers who have their own views in terms of how they interact and they engage with students. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's take this comment from one of our social media viewers, where they're asking. Okay, so we asked them what whether we asked them on social media whether our institution should be depoliticized. Wayne on Twitter then says, the argument clearly originates due to certain political parties suddenly losing support, not even a subtle suggestion of smoke and mirrors. Thank you, Wayne, for the comment. Doc, what do you think?
No, look, that's an interesting comment. I don't think I want to say much about it. Of course, the pendulum has swung in terms of how the political structures have won the elections. That much is known. But I don't think that it's got to do with necessarily with what the person who sent the Twitter thinks it is.
Do you think universities or the outcomes of university elections are a reflection on what's happening nationally in terms of national politics?
Well, it depends. At some institutions, yes, it is true. But in other institutions, the reasons is that because of the internal contestations that one has and the infighting, it ends up with a situation where the party itself, the student structure itself, ends up being in a mess because of internal conflicts.
That arise from nationally, though. Look, so we can't, okay, so it's not linear. The relationship between microcosms of society and the national discourse and what's happening nationally is not a linear relationship, right? But the one does have an impact on the other. And so depoliticizing institutions of higher learning is not the answer, because I'm of the view that we need to address the toxicity of politics nationally. Let's look at what happens in Parliament. Let's look at what happens in various political organizations across the country. And I think because universities are microcosms of society, it's inevitable that what is happening nationally will not transcend into campuses. But let's take a call. We have Pala from Oakdean on the line. Hi, Pala. What is your question or your comment?
Yeah, I think my comment is regarding the depoliticization of the SRCs. You can have your political structures as individuals are up to them to decide which political ideology they support. But the SRCs creates a problem when they begin to campaign as political parties, because that's where the contestation of ideology comes, and that's where sometimes national politics influence real student interest. If you look in the 70s, the people who became SRC were not necessarily belonging to one party or the other. You might have had student movements as SASO, but the individuals there would decide whether to participate in the SRC or not. It's only a phenomenon that came in the 80s when you began to have Azasco becoming SASCO and supporting charterist movements, and then you had people of the consciousness movement developing their own student structures. But I think it's a problematic thing for student interest because it's always political ideology that forebears on real issues that the student should be focusing on.
Sure. All right. I mean, okay, I want us to discuss Mr. Pala's question in two folds, right? Firstly, on the issue of political parties not contesting SRC. I look at universities as spaces of ideological contestation, where one ideology has the space and room and platform to sharpen the other and so forth, right? And thus I'm of the view that we should not be policed as society as to how do we organize and reflect ourselves, right? So if I want to participate in SRC elections, I should be allowed to, as a student who, if the netball team wants to contest SRC, they must go and contest. If the student Christian association wants to contest, they must go contest, because we all have different things to bring into the space that I think become fruitful in the end. And of course, students know who they want to be led by. If students want to be led by a predominantly by a church organization, they'll be led by it, because at the end of the day, they have the democratic rights to do so. Secondly, let's talk about parents, about the issue of what are you at university to do?
Yeah.
You know, our parents always say to us, impendu ningalokhu nitoyitoya, hambani nenze lento emele niyenze esikolweni, ningapolitiki fundani, ne? But universities are not all about the academics. They're also about, grooming the student, the young person, into a socially responsible person. We have Sabelo from Kagiso on the line. Hi, Sabelo. What is your question or comment?
Yes, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Sabelo. How are you? What's your question, sir?
Okay. Now, what I want to just comment about, ma'am, is that the universities all over, they will always want to demobilize students for one reason. They know very well that when you have united students, especially under political organizations, then you're going to be very difficult for management to go away with murder. They know very well that once you have individuals, that is why they prefer independent candidates, because they know that these people, they are going to manipulate them. So I would say let's make sure that we do not depoliticize campuses.
Thank
for
you
that reason.
so much for your question. Doc, let's hit straight to you. You heard what I said before this caller, and you've heard what the caller has had to say. What are your remarks?
Look, I do think that, clearly, we shouldn't be depoliticizing the space. I agree with you that this is an arena for contestation and all. But I do think that we perhaps need to look at a few organizations, such as, Lindiwe Masibuko's Academy, Timali, the Thabo Mbeki African Leadership Institute. We need to look at Yali and see what is it that we can extrapolate from that, which we can use perhaps to deal with issues of the toxicity that you are talking about, and to change the way that things are currently being done.
Another type of politics. And you see, right now, Doc, I feel like you're policing how I ought to be as a student, how I ought to politicize as a student. Well, that's it for this edition of Let's Have It Out. Remember to keep the conversation going on social media using the hashtag LHIO. Tomorrow night, Alex Mkatshwa will be in this chair. You don't want to miss that conversation. I am Nompendulo Mkatshwa. Thank you so much, Doc, and good night.